na hasino na mamensha asem free Emirates Arsenal share 4-1 against Spurs. King, to be honest, going into the game not science ni na clear say Arsenal na favorite so be win this game no. Na between Arsenal and Spurs or more form or more recent meetings na bibia no playing advantage for Arsenal team no. By game na you witness say Arsenal enra say or mobile against Spurs no. Metima Catro say this season ye ka Arsenal performance ba kwa aso anipa enra na eka ho bi. The performance are Arsenal for the mayen display no mu display no enra na excellent. So we check here before the game. Na Spurs need the only club in the Premier League na onkolusu match ewa away. Na clubs ni nyina no obi akwa away at least wakwa kolusu a game. By na Spurs the oba ofia na edine so obetima hye no. So Arsenal Spurs ama ne 4-1 eche how adwuma Arsenal ye. Kwan yo mo fa so create your chances. The number of attacks on the call Spurs so goals ahodo mo say the level of creativity. E can who be na Spurs for mean containing Arsenal for attack. 17 attempts to score, 8 on target, 4 goals out of it. And in terms of attack enrano na Arsenal attack na no she. So we take game ne so a team my friends say Arsenal sa limited Spurs for o meant me any opportunities and fabo antwatene. Ken say me catch us the entire 90 minutes. Spurs touch a ball ne 4 pe Arsenal penalty box me be one. Spurs the entire 90 minutes so omo touch a ball ne baako nko 4 pe. Enti Arsenal defense ni make sure say omo prevent Spurs for say omo create chances no. So both attack and defense na Arsenal superior over Spurs Boboko na omo deserve a 4-1 victory no. And even in Pokrana and commit match more goals by Saoche Spurs actually 4-1 at the level of performance Arsenal de buy. So the big question will be able to say e dey na Teta ne Arsenal nya ne writer eno mo dominate as Spurs for no every aspect of the game, every department. Dey na Teta ne Arsenal ye omo dominate ye. And ken me hwe game no. Ade a me hu se Arsenal ye ni ye na Spurs won't mean copy with sa Arsenal de no. The 4 height 5 channels. Enra papa friends are Teta. Use 4 heights 5 channel. Na Spurs mean copy with sa approach as Spurs Arsenal for use ye. Sameka 4 heights 5 channel a tactical strategy a team be use for omo positioning and a spatial occupation. And it's our 4 height 5 channels no. How ana Arsenal be first position omo ho. Any crown be first our control spaces no. Any idea Spurs for ntimi control. So anytime we are Arsenal for be say some be attack bia no. Omo nya 5 vertical runners. Sa 5 vertical runners no. Trossard operate as a outside left player. Then Calafiori na obo as a left back no. Move inside ebeka the attacking third no. Marino na operate as a first number 9 be make sure say time bia no ono na obe operate no be gina the central area. Na Bukayo Saka the inside, Timber the outside. E to dem impokra na on my bereche eze mpokra no ebelidi attack no. So anytime bia Arsenal be attack bia no omo 5 players are omo nyina no yes our vertical rounds no. Enti na Spurs won't mean copy. Spurs won't be making sure some beso sa players ni mu. Enti Arsenal won't me position omo ye enya sa readiness na omo timi di BT Spurs Boboko no. Enti omo attack bia na omba benya 3 at the back, 2 in the midfield, and 5 players the final third. Edit team my friend say Spurs. So anytime be Arsenal be attack biano, na omunya players are minimum of 5 players, na omunya numbers, na somebody best strategy Spurs Boboko no. Then again say omu attack biana. Lines are hold on the ba attack no baako nko 4. And so 4 lines no the ba attack no omunya depth. Omunya control spaces and omutimi provide options in terms of attack. And near their team my friend is Arsenal. Edi BT Spurs for no Spurs for intimi ankopi with adia Teta ne Arsenal for ye. The 4 heights 5 channels and the BT Spurs Boboko no. Arsenal for taking control attack a lot. And no check here brand friend is Marino. Omu attack biana as the number 9. And as a first number 9 was expect to say on the bejina nim ho LED attack no. Ten bia or drop it. A draggy player out of position, a creative spaces. No typical example. Check his pass na or the command Trossard say you know. And Kobe obo number 9 and you never drop it. Ababe lay pass. Ediamo be so unquestion. By Marino now obo as a number 9 player or bed drop ya banechi. sa pass or the back of my branch friend say a Trozard. And so what check goals now better check as a year in Nana. A marine on a free new position, no a draggy opponent, now creating spaces. And then a better check as a he was on fire. 3 goals against Spurs and yeah easy. Adia manager no one here say, Oje ball na, ni movement with the ball, na ni positioning na how was he making sure so bad driving the power, a bedi ball netino, or bet me they 3 goals against Spurs. And Kino me says, ni 3 goals or say ni nano. Na zona a woman no, either the zone 14 and answer the cutback area. So we check the average distance. Now audition goals na ye 14 years. In the game nankasa no, na ebereche is the 3 goals or say no enyam nwa or say first goal or say second goal. Na science nature say obetima hit the 3rd goal and then Arsenal for a show class winning 4-1 against Team France's personal. Omu deserve every credit. I was a me ball mabaso. Burnley I will turf more. Chelsea question 2-0. A Burnley entimiante. Na a game bakwa obi a wako turf more biano. Se Burnley usumpo kra na try some manu memaye dene edi amaw. Entienra the first na no Saturday the first 20 minutes na emu aye den kakra di ama Chelsea. Obi o share Chelsea first 20 minutes na Chelsea extra go kakra because na Saturday Chelsea air build up there was no Caicedo. And the deep central midfielder was Andre Santos. The first 20 minutes are not Chelsea struggle no Chelsea air build up. Now your branch friend say Andre Santos and a time biano operating as the single deep central midfielder. So no operating as a single deep central midfielder. Now branch friend team friend say Burnley e make sure say o mema mark no. Se Kukure ya konanim Enzo Fernandez ekonanim na Pedro Neto mu ho a o ye static less movement e wo Chelsea anim ho. So the first 20 minutes na asumi nim akwa ye den e de ama Chelsea bobuko no. So after 20 minutes obi o hwe bi a game this has a sign because of a tactical adjustment Enzo Maresca ye or try say this time around Obama Kukure ya drop kakra ba beka Andre Santos so not this time around enkoye Andre Santos as a single deep midfielder Boba benya Kukure ya kan ho no mababa be double into menya options to progress the ball. Then Pedro Neto another first 20 minutes why static you know after the one shot say o move around now in create our opportunities in former Chelsea. So after 20 minutes Sir Enzo Maresca tactical adjustment necessary nyoma bebre edema Chelsea after the one shot say so move push Burnley or move create more chances no more try some bit menya the needed goals about Chelsea by game now me witness say you know the man now or ye juma emo obi abona so abasono was Andre Santos can enye easy say Caicedo role no betima bo ni yie. A one sensitive position for Chelsea. The moment that Chelsea be sia kan na play obegina defensive line enim no obey out of the game na the pressure be to Chelsea team ne so. By Andre Santos or boss abo no o hwe game na obegye say Caicedo mpokura na e wo game ni ma o ye say adwuma no. Because ade the man Chelsea defensively was top notch. Andre Santos in the game e make sure say obe provide proper shield at the Chelsea backline. Less pressure on Chelsea defense because not Chelsea defenders no ebe hin obi obe show di omo. This same Andre Santos ebe make sure say Chelsea pressing face no obey involved. And anytime be a Chelsea be press bia no or attaches our press no e make sure say Chelsea press no ebe well coordinated and sa pressing face na or excellent aboa obra Chelsea. And no stop a lot of dangerous attack and eba Chelsea so. Se Burnley for any dangerous attack as Biana, no etimi akwa intercepted. That was the reason why a ball game ni no. Player or your recoveries kesiye, player or your interceptions kesiye no was Andre Santos. And making sure say that pocket of spaces in between the midfield and a defensive line no, or be closes our pocket of spaces ni na. Enti anya mo wan say Andre Santos e making sure say ye ball game ni no be man of the match because the performance no on my 5-star performance and I'm extremely happy for this boy and will showcase he say even time Mpokra coach Nebeka se Caicedo engine home no Andre Santos no ho betima ye adwuma. Barcelona share 4 against Bilbao. Good weekend for Barcelona fans. Oba Camp Nou. Spotify Camp Nou. Ube here win na the Artist Stadium na no. Barca peso Chelsea Real Madrid. Ube here win na the Chelsea Real Madrid. And Barcelona winning 4-0 against Bilbao enye fluke. Based on the performance of Barcelona. No more dem bon so ani and mo winning sa game no. Ken sa wo beka ya na no Saturday analyze the game no make sure say Barcelona ebe lose key players ni bi. Ana players ni bi wo ho a afi no mu free injury ba ento mo fitness eni suru bebre. Enti ade a ebe bo Barcelona pa no eye individualism. The individual performance and the best sabi bi ade ama Barcelona. 1. Hwe mo goalkeeper Wan Garcia performance. What na feature? by 2 big chances are Bilbao for nya ni nyina no o save ni nyina o make sure say Barcelona concede
and now we now Simon so hwe pa
can make biem enti one difference no
say David Ryan no e say on the Spain go na
but un say De La Fuente no so so ye loyalist for ni bi o ye loyalist
asa keeper na de oyade
oh no crepa de oh sanka o de no kre na ka asema even one Garcia ne mpokra so osoro
yeah Barcelona for boy no one Garcia kra osoro pa
but un say coach De La Fuente ye loyalist so oche one Garcia performance excellent hwe Pau Kubasi performance na was on top enra na Kunde wo game nim Baudu wo game nim bono no ya akra no on act as a leader.
Okay,
Eric Garcia excellent performance Lami Yamal 2 assists no ne say
ni nyina be gina wo chena se dey say na world champions ana media se eno a se omami no akasa na meboa be ye 2 years ni ye ka 2 teams o makasa pa
Barcelona
and Chelsea na nse kura Chelsea kwaje ye friend say World Cup ba yi one take teams and almost omo pa omo
Barca ka ho
so o te say no anti say dey omo saka George na ye be
ana go hu ni yi
o china
o ba say
obi abebie na nipa
ba say ken Lami Yamal o hia big games
match we 32 inches in we trust me enko
Asampe.
Me ma adwena me kire so ma kire ma adwen
Yes, wo.
there's 32 for na ye me wo go dey cause
You will be crying in the phone e be hwe wo na no so e.
me ene so bi o abontin abontin
Came it out senya go power show na ye monko mo kakra ma mento aso free Barca any let's go be bow game you know na homecoming the you just don't need to win the game you need to play well and win the game
na kwa o kan sa asem no waka
media I'm here to see a video of that
see a video of
Lami asam me doubt up to now because I'm here to see a video of that
kabemwa se o kasa
exactly na so mabona no se sansam no ontwa
so o kan wen ana ebetumi ba se bia na pressure you kono ana obi bisa
so obi susu na bi betimi abi susu obi na aheda yes
some big game no on ball na no
oh there be na say Lamine nkasa onim Chelsea adeban what I say inti me that story I twetwe maso kakra but you see the Bilbao game ken and I know Saturday ni analyze the game. One thing I told you about the Bilbao game, they say almost strength, almost pressing. Na Barcelona be winning game no na gina niam mienu so mutwa niam mienu na omo wini bako. Essence of Bilbao for the press well into was Barcelona finding ways of beating their press. One. Dia tosubio adia bako Barcelona nimi ya recently ball no muntimi nye how Barcelona presses. First of all, beat the press of Atletico Bilbao. Second, press well as a Barcelona team. Now, you start the game. Me want to be. Me want papa. First of all, one will line up the buy. Can't me bow. Barcelona started Gerard Martin as a centre back. Ya tse coach ne pese obo boy no as a centre back. Na coach ne say. Only Gerard Martin aye training inside behind the scenes obi anim o training boy no how to play as a centre back because ball na aye bone down me catch us e nima mienu on and off the ball mukuta ball a mo beye den munkuta ball a mo beye den na empempi no aye hwe ball ye ni wo so bi kuta ball no nko aba wo ye coach wo ye football performance analyst you watch on and off the ball. Inti Inigo Martinez adia bako abasa miss from him ne say na left foot no won say wo boss center back coaches na so mo pa prepare bebrebe no up a left foot third player as the left center back inti or try ama Gerard Martin abo sa role no because so kuta bola Gerard Martin ebo as a center back passing angles na ebe Barcelona so that they can beat out the press. Yes, that's a game that means a Bobby Biggy, one Garcia ho. Can't yanko. Now Ocean screens and so let's go Bilbao for at the 6th place. And then press Barcelona. And I was like, wow, this is what I was expecting in the game because Nkwafono almost press we pa. And I was like, Barca beats him BT press na. Warrior 6th place now. And again, Senra a Hoja section yankan command best. In fact, game Saturday no. Because one Garcia only body kutau. okuta ball no atwenya ma Barcelona Eric Garcia epie baie. So he moved the ball to Eric Garcia, and Eric Garcia the ball in ma Pau Kubasi with just 2 passes. Now Barcelona a beating for the presser. Pau Kubasi carry ball. Mame was second example of Adia Bakwa no Yebe. Yanko Barcelona goal. Ken Pacho Shadi Mame pa. 3 minutes 50 seconds in the game. And a Bilbao Forno a play ball no out. Mebacho, watch the screens very well. Gerard Martin and I sense danger. My catch say, Adia Bakwa may say from Barcelona game, yomo pressing, counter pressing. Gerard Martin I sense danger and all barber press it. Seconds ni ye pa. Way 3 minutes 50 seconds. In a matter of just 2 seconds, Kent. The next one. Shadia, within 2 seconds, Barcelona players miensa and a pressing Bilbao for no. One is doing pressing, the normal pressing. The other is doing counter pressing. Players miensa, Eric Garcia, Gerard Martin, Alejandro Baudi. Way and a Barcelona pressing ya. And ma Bilbao for no lusu ball now. Lewandowski koshe sa goal. And then this is a catcher say. Niema mienu ne was Barcelona ye. How to beat Bilbao's press? Of course they did that. I've shown you examples of how they did that. 2. Kwaya Barcelona for befa so a press well ajiball. Edi of your opponents in some half. Of course, I've given you example of that. Now Unai Simon idi men kana sembi because makama break. Coach no oyenhwehwe ni mu Dela Unai Simon onya de nansen. Unai Simon 3 years ago they are fine, but nansen Unai Simon onya de nchen Juan Garcia mpo. But anyway, it is what it is. Yan twaso na yang bonko mokakra. Real Madrid de no ken. Hwe minim pefe say Xabi Alonso understands Real Madrid well because ono what big clubs about Liverpool, about Bayern Munich, about Real Madrid, he understands how big clubs react to results. And young central for and yami amiti hey and I may church who say big clubs are there about results. Nempono coach na obeji adwuma free ni nsem no. Carlo Ancelotti the second coming no oji 2 Champions League. Last season na nko year Arsenal for shed wototo no. Look at the circumstances at Madrid for fame, injuries upon injuries, but ye know Madrid supporters as soldier do good no so say on fit club the monko. At Real Madrid, you just don't win games, you have to appease the supporters. Tio, me no can say Madrid the leading league table no. In say miensi you. Champions League we lose to Barca, we win miensa. Assembliance for a new coach. But the conversation is not about Man City. It is not about Arsenal. It is about Real Madrid. Coach needs to understand, say, games and adults were second by now. Who traces of what the coach wants to do. Ken, me far line up no. Me who Frank Garcia, me who Alvaro Carreras, me cast of about 5 back. After a game no Koswa, Frank Garcia is operating more as a left winger. That's how. If Frank Garcia's role was going to be as a left winger, they ain't Pote and not drop with Vinicius Junior. In any case, also only Vinicius Junior, I can want some HND or drop with Vinicius Junior. For what reason?
And CCI, almost Vinny, Omodia Freeze Abasisia say Vinny and Fiorentino Press are meeting. Meeting no and o catch papa no say ontime renew the contract no say Xabi Alonso and e coach. Oh M1 into where inside source from Madrid CCA into Vini na mo catch Fiorentino Press. So now a Fiorentino Press decision Vini or Xabi Alonso my edo be choose no
yes
we Madrid nia choose baako Chairman Pascal mo choose baako mo pe wan Alonso and I say Vini because Vini say on renew Alonso and the coach. Or catch a Fiorentino Press. Okay.
Jabi Alonso will be more result the 5. So I think say it will be based on the result Jabi Alonso are going to give them. But honestly, here me Vini in some no Vini nankasa won the problems. But say the last time I make cultural say Kylian Mbappe the last 3 games born na Kylian Mbappe abono. Say Vini and the board the same ball and 3 games ni obey uniform. As me am making, we a Madrid fan, we a footballing fan. Wouldn't wakum pefe say, born and Mbappe about the last 3 games, you know. Say a Vini and I was a bona coaching be in a film 60 minutes obey in a film. But Kylian Mbappe only in free because or say or the star man. You cannot substitute a star man. But you can substitute in Vinicius Junior. I want to say who say the coach values Mbappe than you. Unkomo na odi abane na me for the free ho. Because say Vini 2 seasons ago Oshia ye nyini free e kire say we do sa star man era no. But this time around oni sa de no. Eno nti na Mbappe obehwie wo game no mu sa he will still play.
To anya fam fam no. But as to say Athletic for the report to see here.
Okay.
Almost meeting or catch president and say enya Jabi Alonso and can you issue Kobe renew but with Jabi Alonso
asam na no coaching in yada no
heading she said they are heading
em say anything in
and papa no so ntimi ko kan Jabi Alonso say onko
say it be depending on result no but it dependent on the result if Jabi Alonso
and Vini now so more form sia
enti or
perform there
no but you see if you don't give him the consistency
okay
Vini ohie. But Vini amini unim no send a ball ne ba.
Alonso so coach in the bar. Liverpool.
Team. Say Vini baby I would no. He needs more games to gain his confidence back. He's not getting at this stage. And also so lose hope for coaching him into a day. And I'm say a dependence on what Jabi Alonso brings on the table at the end of the season because you season, you know, na born to say ya na Barca. Agi trophy. Of course, Madrid will press something. They will choose Vini ahead of him. Nembom, say Jabi Alonso born so ba. Now Jabi starts winning without Vinicius Junior. Madrid will let him go because after all, Madrid, Florentino Perez, he lets go Cristiano Ronaldo. Why can't he let go Vinicius Junior? In Tomumi, you know, dependent on what will happen at the end of the season. But me and man say coach and I say I want a selection or yeah. But maybe me will say Trent Alexander-Arnold. Game no yebe pona ne muaye de no. He was putting in a lot of crosses strength. And no defensively wanya de but one strength that you cannot take from strength and crosses no. He was just doing a lot of crosses. And no or crossing in fact when him said no 18 crosses. 7 pe and the see the player so. Let me be say crosses na all you know. Vinicius Junior born the first row on for the team pimu. Kylian Mbappe on for the team pimu. Into the crosses now, at what end? Just say be a form na tapping biaba. Benya first sura. Just say be a Jude Bellingham never contested for the ball. Apart from that, na ekwa ye issue. Share Chelsea any Burnley. Burnley aye ni momo. Big game be number 5 at the back. And now normally Arsenal almost 5. Almost Steve. No ball Twanzembe. No ball Laurent. 3 centre backs in here. Omni Man City 5 at the back. Hey, I mean one papa. Say me ko against Chelsea. Omo call 4 at the back. And nothing the coach didn't say. He needed to make adjustment because when Susu say Burnley for the back of 4 at the back. Now the reason why sa 4 at the back ni nyina say team a pass ball bebre no ni emphasis build up to say Mariska ni ideology build up on Fenia Grono. Chelsea Asia 5 at the back biana. Oma 3 plus and a started press. Now 1 ejina when him and right in this case about Rhys James Tosna Derabia you Trevor Chalobah Kent say benyawa. Na Andrew Santos ejina when him. That is when they are meeting teams about 5 at the back because no, so that team need the 2 players to press Chelsea. About 4v2, Chelsea can easily carry it out. But Chelsea were finding it difficult because almost striker is Jan Fleming, time will be he was doing cover shadow on Andrew Santos. So Chelsea needed to let Marco Cucurella join in midfield. Now Ababeka boy no Andrew Santos ho and no never changes back because of time into the there but Mourinho there Ken
you been your time no
Mourinho there
make Mourinho there
mo there when you pass na front to mo ko third goal no a fourth goal no
and so on one
Vicario e bobo bi simu and henka pin ball na ma Declan Rice eyi ball na betu na nim proper hold that play wow
Kwame there Arsenal top player Biggy
Ken
me Camerano ye be call World Cup na ye de na kwotena nchen obi a so nim se boy wo ya de chance Spain players ye omo wom ni nyina bebre ana na so World Cup ko na de omo qualify one question 3 goals for Turkey
yeah born the obopa
I said the ball na nje fe once we Spain and the football fans they pen no boy fe the ball na nje fe but oye most important as Arsenal team the crowd kill obo 9 obo 8 obo position obo say
ono de anim honum de titi obo ba bia o honestly speaking I feel say at this rate Mikel Merino one player underrated looking at the qualities honestly speaking
numbers no ekrana
yes and not just the numbers born are all born because na so we go no born or pass Leandro Trossard na or drop it deep no be far ball even those are almost strikers Ellen Haaland no Harry Kane no when they are playing the number 9 position no drop it deep no be baller only so no na number 9 ono necessary we should go so what they do is they don't look for players are box nim already and also muko box nim no ma pass the ball amom there be they go for the easy options the original in China no a pass the ball ne the amano no a start America to initiate attack na onim say ono necessary ko box nim ko go into initiate attack na we know the America ko box nim no akwa train ball no ho na aba na obebo asha na so be masha na the ato net anymore but Merino drop it deep no he also remembered say he's a midfielder one forgetting the duty as a midfielder even though Niamani makeshift through our number 9 and how he was able to scan the pitch and making sure say Matros are the off but obebo pass na at the right time I'm a player na kwa fa ball no it was super good and me feel say underrated at this moment Ken Tottenham Boboko no Thomas Frank disappointing the baby to be honest yes starting season no open one of the teams and then the power GDA wo mupa looking at performance and no more dine there untimi more teams now we need Tottenham on film looking at how they started omokwa Super Cup UEFA Super Cup against Paris Saint-Germain no be him said the Paris Saint-Germain team we've seen last season there ka Tottenham any game bi amfama no regulation time, Paris Saint-Germain and Tottenham Boboko, they had to move the game to penalties. After that, the first game of the season, no Akobo Burnley, no Ache Burnley 3-0. But people said, say, oh, Burnley, they send your team bia, and to Burnley in the news. Many of ya had dream ho. You no ko Itihad on Manchester City Boboko. This season, that game has been Pep Guardiola's worst game. Wabo. And found the performance of Dynasty against Newcastle. But the game against Tottenham, how Tottenham dominated Manchester City, especially on one fee, or we know 2-0. But Ken, after the Manchester City test, teams no more difficult for Premier League. No, Obiani wa Tottenham team no. The difficult teams. Say a middle table team, say a top team. Obiani one of Tottenham na wa team no. Tottenham share bomb of one team anche. Brighton one team anche. One team and Chelsea, one team and Manchester United. Arsenal Bobo couldn't talk about one team and Aston Villa. The funny part is the approach of the Tottenham team yesterday was wrong. Mejitum say football na about strength and weaknesses. It will show opponents and strength. Of you say looking at how Arsenal see possessive game. O jai game ni Arsenal Bobo Konobo. No call for counter breaks and after counter attacks ebe buano. It is so a lot of men at the back no defending any problem. But Ken, the big question is that formation now they kwa share Arsenal. It is a big game. How many times now what tests our formation in Premier League games? Ama wo mu GDA say betimi a work the amount. The only time I'm going to talk about the 3-back system or the 5-back system where they are defending this season. A game normally Paris Saint-Germain Super Cup no. But the league and the Champions League are almost bono. Me who Tottenham are all about the 3-back system that. Debbie. But I know the starting game no. In fact, will be a muscle because in the first half, I'm going to be manage even a shot on target. You real first half now, you second half no. The coach was wise enough and realizes the formation in one into obeying society ewo formation nim ken nsisanya na oye no o sesa ne nsa na why no de ne ba game emu aya den no he brought in Xavi Simons with no disrespect to the player but the game mu ya den a who expect say odi omo ya conversant with the league omo nim terrain no betimi aye game changes and e de ba so Brennan Johnson at the bench last season to me pen numbers or share he was Tottenham's best player you read this season mo little opportunity bia wonya bia na o kire say ball no onimbo. Why don't you throw him in the game? Now, Okwakofa Obia on only buy and on Timmy Moye, M Mano, and a game I order from by 2. Odo on only Baba the difference maker. Debbie, the only bright spot I mean who was Tottenham team no was João Paulinho. To be honest, he was the man I know he breaks Kaka when finishing one of the bomb. But aside that, there was nothing positive about their performance. Arsenal no deserved the 3 maximum points. But now Arsenal Libo say see ane there Ken. The Premier League is just for them to lose. Arsenal and Timmy and Premier League we are. Quite be just somebody at Teta Faso be on fan and Faso. Liverpool. Can Liverpool are 7 desire semu. So see Liverpool about 7 matches in the Premier League. We're winning 1, we're losing 6. The last 7 matches, in Premier League, Liverpool are winning just 1, and losing Marco 6. This is a Liverpool team a share season national. Looking at purchases on my additions on my year. Obi so obi ase why na betimi age Premier League ni biema or say Liverpool because now Liverpool were quality no asan so auto quality e dey aba be kabo oboko ne ho. But unfortunately, anyama nko say dey na expect e dey ma Liverpool oboko no. First of all, me the blame no kese na be ma coach e friend say Ancelotti. Ken the game Liverpool played on Saturday. Selection na coach in the year and Koko Rap Park and so on. It was wrong. Young Dominic Soboslaya on so many occasions over the right back position in Liverpool. Bobo niye. But so do only call the right back position. I said it here. So we weaken the Liverpool midfield. It's the Okwako share midfield omoya strong, omoya combative. Ibrahim Sangare any Elliot Moa. Yen create to chrome fan to yen fin because Emrante no mujinem fin fi Nottingham Forest no. Omoya deadly on how. It's a coach near that mistake in the first place. Secondly, Liverpool defenders, any players, didn't know how to defend set pieces. Quite fast one conceded the first goal from a corner kick. Mohamed Salah, player Gina Wonchen Murillo. Now Salah free another player, McAllister. So Omramba Taki Murillo. When you can clearly see, so McAllister is marking another player.
And they send you Salah Juman.
Fine, and you Juman no. But can once I will be P box, Nimmy and Oba Obey. So once you are there, you have to help defend the lines. And a Murillo ye free, and no boss are born share. Number 2, coach in the selection now di can ye na make one seven. The second goal they conceded because an acquire Gravenberch in Kwame Finfinity, he tried as possible to chase almost every ball. It's the second goal no. Now Odi Gibbs White chi, aqua the left flank, aqua attacking no. Cut back in the bar, the defensive midfield area. Ne honumi she and on ball on the foul on the Liverpool Bobo Kono. It's the placement of players on the field of play and then the selection a cost Liverpool Bobo Kono and a coach into minim then all pressing the panic button. I didn't think a chinchina or starting Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak born our boy, a Newcastle. But at Liverpool, a ketike mum ne Isak and Isak mummy ketike. Kopim so be proving a honor. And this will bench who go ketike under no circumstance. You keep throwing your best players per price out the far on the field just because of you so boy in just so mobile. But the more minutes the more now who expose the players Okay. All my players they merited the position. Mane so dini nisika no the ababa bebo debi. Maninya jumaden no merited position and no be jinamo obetimi abodi amount.
Eno Isaac and Kitike. You better because I'm a French or the stories in the